Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to Job Grade IS, and this is session 20 of Mains Enrichment Program. Yesterday only we discussed one question, the estimation of Bhakti movement with regard to medieval Indian history, and we discussed that question extensively. The Bhakti doctrine, the existence of Bhakti from ancient India to medieval India, the impact on the society, the significance of vernacular languages, right? The eradication of social evil and the social dogmas of that time we discussed thoroughly. And from now today onwards, today is the 9th of July. Today is 9th of July, and you are remaining almost 35 days for your mains examination, right? So be very careful while approaching your subjects, while approaching your resources. I hope you have completed all your revision, because this should be the ideal situation before 1 month of the mains examination, right? During this time period of 1 month, what you need to do, you need to fill all your gaps of your preparation. What I told you 20 days ago, if you haven't watched my video that was streamed live 20 days ago, I quoted that 50 days are remaining, 45 days were remaining for the mains examination, right? This video I recorded 10 days ago, not 20 days ago, almost 10 days ago. So 45 days were remaining that time. Today almost 35 days are remaining, right? Almost 35 days are remaining for your mains examination effectively. Do not count 3 or 4 days before the mains examination. No, that is your relaxed period. You need to relax your mind. You cannot write all the time answers relentlessly. It will overtrain you, right? It will overtrain you. So what I was saying, so effectively you have 35 days. 35 days are remaining, and what you need to do now, you need to fill the gaps again. You need to fill the gaps again. If there are any gaps remaining, be it your optional, be it your essay writing, be it GS paper 4, especially the case studies, right? So you need to fill those gaps, and then you will have to give a final assault of your mains examination. This is the final assault, and your final assault plan should be made by yourself only, because it will learn you how to hold your nerves, because the time period of this last month is very crucial for your mains examination, right? While I was preparing for the mains examination, what used to be my strategy was the same. I used to fill the gaps. I used to write a lot of tests, but I stopped answer writing just before 7 days of my mains examination. Okay, so you need to be very careful how to approach the subject. Let us suppose you are good at history, you are good at geography, you are good at economy. So you will have to focus on this subject in a limited manner. Let us suppose you have a lot of loopholes in your GS paper 4. Revise this GS paper 4 within a month. It's not very tough to revise GS paper 4 in a month if you have studied the subject thoroughly. It's not very tough to revise the subject. Clear? Now, as far as your optionals are concerned, devote a separate time, devote a separate day, right? What I told you, you have essay, you have GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, and then you will have 2 optional papers. And please do not neglect the language papers. If you are neglecting your language papers, you will fail in the examination, and your copies of mains examination will not be evaluated. They will not be evaluated. Clear? So what you need to do is make a plan, such as one day you are giving for essay writing, right? And 2 GS papers and 2 GS papers. Okay, another day you are giving to the optionals. Next day you are giving to the essay and rest of the 2 GS papers, which means 3 days in a week. You are devoting essay writing and GS1, GS2. Then optional. Day 2 is optionals. Day 3 is again essay writing and GS1, GS2. Day 4 again optionals. Day 5 essay writing, GS1, GS2. Day 6 again optionals. So apply an alternative pattern that will boost your mind. That will boost your mind. Let us suppose you are studying your optional for the whole day. You are devoting 15 to 16 hours, right? You are waking up 5 a.m. in the morning, and starting your subject at 7 a.m. and you are stretching the subject till 12 noon. But this sitting should be consistent. This sitting must be consistent, right? It should not be like you are checking your phone, scrolling the notifications, scrolling the screen. No, it shouldn't be like that. Keep yourself away from the social media. Keep yourself away from the family and friends. Talk to them who are very, very important to you, who are supportive to you in this journey, right? Why I am telling you this? Because I have seen this phase. I've seen this phase. This is very, very crucial. Now, while you are giving the alternative time table, while you are applying your alternative timetable, do not forget to revise what you have studied in the night hours. Devote 1.5 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour as per your convenience to revise what you have studied since morning. This is very, very crucial. And this also includes the decoding of mains examination, decoding of the PYQs, which I am doing with you. Right? Analyze all the answers, analyze the copies of the toppers. Right? So this is how you will ace this examination. Right? And this is, I think, there will be a lot of videos, the master plan to crack the mains in 1 month, or master plan to ace the mains in 15 days or 20 days or 10 days maybe. People can make any kind of video, right? So master plan is nothing. There is no master plan to crack the mains examination, but the mindset, right? They will give 1,000 videos. What is the master plan? What is the master strategy? No, but it is the mindset. You will have to hold your nerves. You will learn how to approach the syllabus within a 1 month, because a few days are remaining for the mains examination, and it is all about your mindset and your stress management that will help you in the examination. If you are preparing well for the mains examination, and if you are able to manage your stress at this particular point of time, definitely you will clear the mains examination and appear for the interviews. Right? You will appear for the interviews. But stress management is very, very important. So make a timetable, follow it religiously, apply alternative pattern of studies. Do not neglect your compulsory subject, Hindi and English, right? And ace your optionals. Ace your optionals. Optional is a game changer. Optional is a game changer, right? By the way, you need to, give equal time to all the subjects like history, polity, GS1, GS2, GS3, and GS4. But optional is somehow a game changer because it has chosen as per your choice. You have been a student of management, you could choose management studies. You are a doctor preparing for the UPSC, medical studies is best for you. You are a postgraduate or a PhD in zoology and botany, you can choose this subject. You are a topper of DU and done your MA in economics or political science and international relations, you can choose those subjects, because optional is completely as per your choice. That's why it's a game changer. The bar of UPSC is higher in optional because it is chosen by you. It is not given by the UPSC. UPSC has given you the optionals, the list of optionals. Clear? The list of optionals. It has chosen by you. So that is why you will have to satisfy their demands especially in the optional examination, that your knowledge should be at the level of postgrad level. You cannot write layman language. You will have to write professionally as far as optionals are concerned, be it any optional. For example, you have taken history optional, right? And there is a lot of difference when you are writing an answer in GS, writing an answer of history in general studies, and writing an answer in the optionals. There is a huge difference, right? So in general studies, what they are looking for, your approach. Your approach, how did you approach the answer? What are the points? What is the argument? And how it is supported by the valid facts? That is all for the GS paper. But in optionals, they are analyzing they are marking they're evaluating your 360-degree skills. That what is the level of research you have done in the history? What is the level of analysis? What is your diagnosis on certain topics? Right? So these are the things that you should keep in mind. So without wasting any time, let us discuss the question. The question of the day is, what were the major technological changes introduced during the Sultanate period? How did those technological changes influence the Indian society? So this question is very important. Why? Because this question is asked from the medieval Indian history, and many of you will claim that this is will be astonished by this question, that this question was asked from the medieval Indian history, that was not the part of the syllabus. But mark my word, instead of reading the syllabus, you need to decode the syllabus. And what decoding says, that this is not the question of medieval Indian history, this is the question of Indian heritage. Indian heritage is mentioned in your mains examination syllabus, right? So you cannot brag about these kind of things. So we apply our traditional approach, the approach of fragmentation. So let us see the two aspects. What is the major technological changes introduced in the Sultanate period? First, part 1. Second is, how did those technological changes influence the Indian society? How did they influence the Indian society? Right? So what kind of technological changes we are looking for as far as medieval Indian history, as far as Sultanate era is concerned? So there were many changes. We will give the subheadings like changes in agriculture, which means agriculture technology, right? The paper technology. This paper technology were not directly used by the sultans, but it was used by the regional Muslim leaders like Jainul Abidin, who was the ruler of Kashmir. The glass technology. So this glass technology was influenced from Middle East. It came in India from the Middle East, and it was applied by the sultans of Delhi, right? And a lot of development of textiles such as carpets, shawls, and many things, right? And many things. Okay, carpets and shawls and many things. Now, these are the general developments, and there were a lot of technological development in the field of military. Turks were very good horse riders. They knew the technology how to use a bow while riding on a horse, and those bows were termed as naviks, as well as the Indo-Islamic structure, the architecture. When you see the architecture, whenever you see the architecture of Sultanate era, they all were dome-like architecture, right? For example, Alai Darwaja, and this Alai Darwaja was constructed by whom? Alauddin Khilji. It was constructed by Alauddin Khilji, right? And there are many initiatives that were taken by the Tughlaqs, especially Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Many initiatives that were taken by the Tughlaqs, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. For example, Muhammad bin Tughlaq promoted horticulture. As well as he introduced a new technique, which is known as the technique of Persian wheel. I'll show you in the picture the technique of Persian wheel. Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he constructed a lot of farms, lot of buildings. By the way, Muhammad bin Tughlaq started this tradition. It was Firoz Shah Tughlaq who carried on his legacy. So these were all the kind of technological development that occurred in the Sultanate period. Let us discuss them one by one in a very well structured manner. How will you write the introduction? How will you give the points in the body, as well as how will you write the conclusion, right? So what here we are talking about, whenever we talk about the medieval architecture, it is also known as the Indian architecture, Indo-Islamic architecture. Indo-Islamic architecture. Okay, now let us see. So the advent of Turks infused India with the new ideas almost in every field, including technology and science. Next, the technological changes of various fields. First of all, the agriculture. Look at this diagram. This is Sakya. And it is a Persian wheel. So this was introduced during the Sultanate period, and this was, you can see this structure, and this structure used to fill these buckets of water. These are used for irrigation. These are used to extract water from the wells, and these were operated by either human or bulls. So you can see this structure. One question was asked, there was a question was asked in Civil Services Prelims 2024 related to this structure, which was known as Araghat, right? And the answer was, it was a device which was related to irrigation, right? Wheeled device, wheeled bucket were attached to the wheel, right? And the similar question, a very same question, was asked in Civil Services Prelims 2016. So you can mention this point in your mains examination as well. So sultans like in irrigation, partial wheel Sakya was introduced. Sultans like Muhammad bin Tughlaq also established many model farms to disseminate good agricultural techniques. Right? He many model farms. He wanted to introduce the ideal kind of farming, right? He did a lot of things in the field of horticulture also. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq introduced many new technologies in horticulture. He founded nearby 1200 fruit gardens. By the way, this question it seems tough to me, because whenever you are approaching for Indian art and culture, for Civil Services Mains examination especially, you discuss about the arc and architecture of ancient India. The Cholas, the Pallavas, the philosophies like Buddhism, Jainism, Vedant, right? You discuss these things. But these questions are formed rarely. That is the reason these questions are tough. As per the present trade, students are not studying the medieval Indian history thoroughly. Why? Because a few questions asked from in the prelims examination, and as per your intellect, this medieval history is not included in the syllabus. But what my intellect says, Indian heritage includes ancient Indian history, medieval Indian history, as well as the modern Indian history, right? So you need to be very, very careful while writing these kind of answers. First of all, you need to know how to approach the syllabus. If you learn how to approach the syllabus, mark my word, you will clear the prelims as well as the mains examination. Okay. So the trade and craft. In cotton, cloth production, charkha, cadder's bow. What is cadder's bow? Cadder's bow, have you ever seen that rui peetne wala ek equipment, which is used for blankets, which is used for many kind of things which are made of cotton. So right, Carder's bow. It is used to beat the cotton. It is used to beat the cotton. Used to beat the cotton. And another technology which is still prevailing right now is Rangsaji. Which means coloring of cloth became prominent profession. Coloring of clothes became a prominent profession. Cadder's bow, charkha. Carder's bow. Rangsaji. Right? Sultans promoted technique of sericulture. You know very well what is sericulture? What is sericulture? Are you people live? Govind Prajapati. Okay. You know very well what is sericulture? Have you ever heard about a fruit called mulberry? Mulberry, शहतूत, रेशम का कीड़ा, right? So this is known as sericulture. So now the paper technology. So the paper technology became very, very important as use of paper became prominent. Apart from Delhi Sultans, regional rulers like Jainul Abidin, he was from Kashmir, promoted bookbinding technique. As I mentioned you earlier, that paper technology became very, very prominent in Sultanate era. And the technique of bookbinding was introduced by this ruler, Jainul Abidin. He was not the Sultan of India, he was not the Sultan of Hind, he was not the ruler of Delhi, but he was a regional ruler who was ruling in Kashmir. Next is the glass technique. It was prevailing in the erstwhile India during Sultanate era, but it improved because of rising influence of Middle East. Because you know very well, Turks came from Middle East, right? They dominated the area of Middle East also. So those technologies, the exchange of culture occurred in India also. So now the glass technology was influenced by the technology of Middle East. Sultans promoted new techniques in leather production, carpet and shawls productions, stone polishing, right? Stone polishing. Next is the military technique. As I mentioned you earlier, Turks brought better horse riding technique. Also, the Turkish archers used a bow called navik, with entirely new technique. Now, if you see the traditional bow, it is larger. Sometimes it is almost equivalent to the length of a human, right? Length of a human, and it is heavy also. How will you use such bow while you are mobilizing yourself? Right? Whenever you study history, between the lines. So what you will notice from Kushana period to medieval Indian history, in which you discuss the advent of the Arab invasions, the importance of chariots declined. Cavalry is used to move on the horses only, because a single horse is much more faster than a chariot, right? If you train him properly. So now it was not very possible, not that much possible to carry a heavier and a lengthier bow. So you need to have a small bow. which has a sharp arc, right, which is lighter in weight, but it can fire a bow. It can fire as much with as much as efficiency like a heavier bow. So this was a very new technique that time. This was a very new technique that time. And you know very well, technology always prevails. Technology always trumps, right? Consider the example of the invasion of Nadir Shah in 1739, and he thoroughly defeated the Mughal army. Why? Because that time Mughal artillery became completely obsolete. Completely obsolete. It was very heavy. It was very tough to mobilize them. But Nadir Shah from Iran came with a modernized artillery, which was lighter, could be mobilized very easily, right? So that is the reason. That is the reason. And the same case is happening here with a bow. With a bow, the Turkish bows are lighter in nature. They are swift. They are fast. Now, art and architecture. Sultanate period saw the introduction of scientific methods of building arches and domes. A very good example is Alai Darwaja constructed by Alauddin Khilji. As I told you, the art and architecture of Sultanate era, of Mughal era, is also known as the Indo-Islamic architecture. The Indo-Islamic architecture. The Sultanate period saw introduction of scientific methods, building of arches and domes, just like this, right? Arches are supporting these domes, right? Arches are supporting these domes. You can Google the picture of Alai Darwaja. You will come to know about this point very easily, right? Arches and domes. If you have studied the Indian architecture thoroughly for the mains examination, you will come to know very easily. So compared to Indian style of using stones in buildings, Muslims used bricks and gypsum as mortar or building material in construction technique. By the way, we also used, right, in ancient India, we also used the construction of houses with baked bricks. Best example is Indus Valley civilization. But when it comes to the later ancient history or early medieval history, we preferred stones. We preferred stones because it was not an obsolete technology. On the other hand, it was a superior technology. It was a superior technology. How will you understand the kind of bonds that can be established between two rocks that can support a structure and even a superstructure? Clear? Even a superstructure, right? So, but we are discussing about the technological changes. During the Sultanate era, they used gypsum, they used mortar, they used bricks for the construction of their houses. Next is the impact on Indian society. The impact on Indian society. Whenever you see the Indian society during the Sultanate era, the agriculture was surplus. So the people were, I'm not saying very rich. We know very well the kind of atrocities faced by non-Hindus during this era. But we are discussing an answer for UPSC civil services. So here, agricultural production increased because of new techniques and surplus production which could sustain urbanization. Yes, agricultural production increased, right, because of new techniques, and the influx of money increased suddenly. So people started building new houses, right, the bigger houses, which is a sign of urbanization. In fact, some of the historians terms the Turkish era or the Sultanate era is the third urbanization age of this country. So first, if you talk about the first urbanization, it is Indus Valley. It is Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization. Second urbanization. It's during Mahajanpad era. Mahajanpad era. Third urbanization, as per some historians, as per some historians, is of Sultanate period. Is of Sultanate period. Clear? So the next point is, most historians believe the third phase of urbanization in India came with the advent of Turks. They came with the advent of Turks. Now the economic activities here, you are doing horticulture, you are doing sericulture, you are doing agriculture, you are doing various experiments, or you are importing latest glass technology from the Middle East, you are applying the paper technology. So the economical activities at this period of time was multi-dimensional. It was not just merely focused on agriculture or any other kind of activity such as pisciculture or any kind of culture which was existing. There was nothing monotonous activity that time. Their economy was multidimensional. Their economy was very, very dynamic. Things were very, very dynamic, right? Economic activities become very dynamic and diverse, and cotton clothes production became much better. Now, new architectural style emerged in form of Indo-Islamic architecture by confluence of the Indian and Islamic architectural techniques, as I mentioned you earlier this point. So now what will you write in the conclusion? What you will write in the conclusion? The new techniques introduced in Sultanate time had deep and permanent impact on society, reflecting the Sultanate period was period of dynamism. The period of dynamism. Still we are doing horticulture. Still we are doing sericulture. Still we are doing a lot of experiments in glass technology. Still we are evolving in the paper technology. Right, you can see the difference between a local paper, difference between the paper of a local copy and the difference between a paper of classmate notebook. Right, so we are even the paper technology is a different branch of engineering also right now. So architecture, even in Muslim community, the structure of the mosques, the structure of their other religious structure is the legacy of this Sultanate period, right? Is the legacy of the Sultanate period, right? So still a part of Indian society is influenced by this Turkish era, We cannot say that this era came and this era gone. They contributed a lot in the economy, in the art and architecture, in the field of agriculture, in the field of military technology, right? They contributed a lot, right? So this was the question for the day. Again, my message is to you: only 35 days effectively remaining for your mains examination. What you need to do: take a pen and paper, make a plan. How will you take up the subject alternatively, right? It will reduce your stress. How will you take up the subjects alternatively? It will reduce your stress, as well as master your optionals, because optional is the key. Right, and on the daily basis, practice essay writing. Never skip it. Right, for almost 20 days. Write one essay. Okay, and then when only 15 days will be remaining for a mains examination, I will give you a broader plan. For next 20 days, you follow this alternative pattern and finish the remaining things. 20 days is the deadline. 20 days is the deadline. And for 15 days, for last 15 days, we will prepare in a very, very professional manner. So, thanks a lot for the session. And if you want more guidance, you can download the JobGrade IS app. You can subscribe our Ignite Foundation batch of UPSC 2026, as well as you can follow the YouTube channel, right? So stay tuned. Thank you. Have a nice day.